Hi everyone, it's Tanya Hertz here. I just wanted to let you know a little bit about the slides that we go over in our videos. Might not match the slides that you see in the Canvas for you to download and change. That's just to try to, on my end, to try to limit the file size, but all the content is the same. So when we're going through these, don't be worried if you don't have color, see the same color or the same, like the visuals are different, just to keep that file size down. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start talking about a broad definition of leadership, or try to define leadership, which is not an easy thing to do. How do you define leadership? Go online, type it up. What is leadership? You're going to get hundreds, thousands of different answers. And well, there's no one right answer. There are many, many wrong answers. And so you really want to avoid those wrong answers and try your best to come up with a compilation of what's right, because it is a compilation, a combination. So I'm not bossy. I have leadership skills. Or put another way, I'm not bossy. I'm the boss. We'll talk about women in leadership here in a little bit. All right. So what's leadership? Complex. It's a complex phenomenon. It involves the leader. It involves the follower. It involves the situation. It's not just about a person. It's not about a title. It's not about how we're born. It's not about any one personality type. And I said that there were many definitions online, and many wrong definitions. But the thing about having so many definitions out there, it shows us how complex it is. But it's really interesting for us to go in there and to look and see like how people are defining leadership, and how they're defining it wrong and why, and how we're going to hopefully avoid that. So one of the ways that we avoid it is we look at it in terms of, again, the leader, the followers, right, and the situation in which they are operating, the process, right. It's our ability to direct, to coordinate, to inspire. It's a relationship, an interpersonal relationship. And this is really important. It's a relationship in which the followers follow because they want to, not because they have to, right? So a leader gets people to follow because they want to be part of that relationship. A leader says we, right? A boss, it gets people to do things because they have to do things. Okay. So it's a very different relationship. And I think that a lot of us can think of leaders. Think of some good leaders that you've had in life. Think of bad leaders, right? And those bad leaders often, they confuse leadership with dominance, with control, with aggression, right? It's like well, look at our country for the last 4 years. What did we have? We had a leader, or did we have somebody who was maybe not even a boss, but more of an authoritarian, right? Donald Trump. I never heard a smart person called Donald Trump smart, right? He was smart to stupid people, and he was strong to weak people, rich to poor people. But never once heard somebody confuse him with a leader. And I really want not to there's enough division. I shouldn't say anything political there, but I mean, it's just such a clear example of somebody who's in charge but not a leader. So when we're going through and we're talking about the characteristics of leaders, and the desirable qualities, and the way that we can become good leaders, I really want you to think about those leaders that have inspired you in life, the ones that make you feel like we're in this together, right? So here's another great little, you'll see lots of these little memes and these little short videos and things that describe leadership, because it's one of those topics that a lot of people are interested in. But I love this one, right? A boss says go, a leader says let's go, right? It's not about directing, it's about inspiring and bringing everybody along with us. So it's a process. It's a process of influencing others. It's relationships. It's I there's a definition of leadership that I like, and this is this right here, the one in bold: the process of influencing an organized group towards accomplishing its goals. But I really should change this, because I like it but I don't love it, and the reason I don't love it is this part right here: organized group. Instead of group, I think this could be so much better if you changed group to team. So change group to team, then I love this definition. So leadership is an art, leadership is a science. There's so much research out there on leadership. There's a book that we'll look at, and I've pulled a lot of excerpts from this book for your OER, and that book cites 8,000 studies on leadership. And so you might be thinking, like, so how is Tanya, and I shouldn't have started with my own personal opinion on the political leader, because I know that some of you will have different views on politics. But by and large, this class is not my personal opinion. None of the material that we actually cover that you see in the PowerPoints is based on my personal opinion or is based on my experiences. It is based on the scientific method. It's based on meta-analysis, study after study after study on leadership. And I put a video in there so you can see in module 1, the video that is based on or it shows you how to use the scientific method in business management. And that's a good video to watch just to get a good idea of how we come across the information that we do in this class. And without watching the whole video, I will say everything that we do share is based on the scientific method, and it's based on scholarly research and analysis of the data. Okay. Now, you might be saying to yourself, so why do we spend that much time doing this? Because, leadership is just, it's one of those things. People are either leaders or they're not. And that could be true, right? You might have seen some managers in life that are very effective leaders that have never taken a course, never taken a training program, never received any formal education in leadership, and they're still amazing leaders. And then you might see some of your maybe professors in leadership who are terrible leaders, just absolutely terrible, but they know everything about the theory of leadership and the data behind it. So it's important to remember it's partly science, it's partly art, but what I share with you will be based on empirical, fully well-supported academic research, rigorously supported research. And so you can be assured that when we say something about leadership, that it is a supported fact, and it's not just Tanya's opinion. Interestingly, when I was looking up information on leadership, I thought, oh, I want to share some more of these little, these cute little, images with the class, because they're everywhere. And I couldn't find very many that where the boss and the leader were women. And so women, I mean, these little skirts. So I made a couple of these to show you the difference between a boss and a leader. That's a common concept in this class. A boss is competitive. A leader is collaborative. A boss sees things as a black and white. A leader sees things as gray. A boss sees what is. A leader sees what could be. A boss takes credit for himself or herself. A leader gives credit. A boss dictates, where a leader inspires. Bosses use people, leaders develop people. So beyond being art and science, it's both rational and emotional. And people, our followers, are also both rational and emotional. So it's important when we're using those appeals to influence others. It's a large part of leadership is influence. We need to make sure that our appeals are based on both rational and emotional techniques. Different types of appeals work in different situations. There's another video that I made that I put there in Canvas as well. Really good video on negotiation and using power and influence in order to get people to do what we want them to do. And just one little side note there. As a leader, leaders are most effective when they are transformational, and they do get people not just to comply with what we want them to do, but really to take on our cause or our values, our ideas as their own, and fully commit to them. Another difference, a boss depends on that authority, depends on that title, and a leader depends more on that goodwill that they've created with the subordinates. So because we have both rational and emotional component of leadership, we can we can use that leadership in a positive way, or it could be used negatively. And people act differently and respond differently just when there are more than one person involved. So a leader does not operate in a vacuum. You cannot have a leader without a follower. You can't lead yourself, right? You can, however, control yourself and your calendar. And the homework assignment that's coming up first is an assignment on time management. And one of the reasons why we do that very first homework assignment is because very often there's this conception that what we're learning here in leadership is just it's just good sense, it's common sense, it's something that anyone would know without doing research. And so we do our very first homework assignment on multitasking, because that's one of the major myths or misconceptions about time management. That when you do the assignment, you'll see what I mean. So when we are directing others, controlling others, influencing others, we need to consider both the rational and emotional, and our behaviors, and also the consequences of our behaviors and our requests. So some more just basic differences between leaders and managers. Managers are the administrators of the organization. They are the ones who take all of the things that have been created by the leaders and by the executive directors of the organization, the entrepreneurs in the company, and they enact, right? So a leader is typically especially in a small or new business, they're the startup founders, they're the entrepreneurs. They have a long-term view of what the company will be, what it could be, and the managers, they see more what it is. Managers will duplicate what leaders create. Okay, leaders originate, create, they come up with the new ideas. They every time they see any operational component of the organization, they're always thinking, how can I make this better? What can I do to improve processes? What could be? Managers, very short-term view. They say, how do I get this done? What do I need to do? It's you don't have to just have a bunch of subordinates or followers in your organization. You can have a company with many leaders, and leaders can also be very, very good followers as well. And that's okay. It's okay to have many leaders in an organization. You want to have an organization with many leaders. I have the Innovation Lab is the startup that I started at Miramar, the regional incubator, and we have a lot of people who are working for the rec right now. And I just hired a staff of five amazing people. They were interns before, and now they are actual employees, and we're paying them 20 something bucks an hour or something like this. And I shouldn't tell how much they get paid, but anyways, it's really interesting because of the five people that I just hired, so four of them are definite leaders, absolute like leaders through and through. And I didn't realize that one of them, he's actually a manager, very, very clearly a manager, and doesn't think outside of the box, doesn't approach things the same way that an entrepreneur or leader would. And so that's one of the things that I want to work on this year, is developing those leadership skills. Because can you develop leadership skills? Yes. If you are a manager by nature, can you become a leader? Yes, absolutely. It just takes education. It takes it takes a desire to change, and it takes some learning. So there is, though, some areas where leadership and management overlap, and it's okay to have managers in your organization. And it's not always a bad thing to have those sort of the facilitators of of the company. And we can, if this one particular employee stays a manager forever, I'm not going to fire him. He still has a lot to offer. I'd love if he could develop into a leader, but it's all right. And no matter what, there's always going to be management functions that leaders have to do, and then leadership functions that managers have to do as well, whether or not they intuitively or in general are tend towards those leadership skills. So there's always going to be this overlap area of both leadership and management tasks that need to be accomplished in any organization. All right, so I'm going to stop there. We'll pick up in the next video. You'll see that the videos, the PowerPoint isn't finished, but the videos, I do kind of try to break them into smaller chunks, because it can be a lot, right? You don't want to watch this much video every time. So, all right, I'll try to keep them a little bit shorter than this first one, but this one was long. It was the first time that we got to be together. So I'll see you again in the next video. Bye, everyone. Take care.